Good morning, my friend. Welcome back. It's so good to see you today. I have a Trashcraft Tuesday project for you. Of course, it's Tuesday here in New Zealand. You might be watching it on a Monday or any other day of the week. But for me, it is Tuesday. Little secret, I'm actually recording on Monday, but it's going up on Tuesday. So today, for today's Trashcraft Tuesday project, we are working with these fun tear strips from a box of tissues. I absolutely love these. I have done projects with these previously, and I've got another little idea here for you. First off, when you remove them from the tissue box, you need to be very careful that they don't tear, because if you just use the little thumb piece where you pull on that, most often it'll just like rip the whole thing. So I like to go in at one end and push it down and then run my finger around the inside and just gently push it out so that it comes out nice intact. Okay, so that's the first thing, is the actual removal from the tissue box. When you open a new box of tissues, just be very gentle and take it quietly, and don't use the special tear thumb bit that they give you, because it's just gonna tear, and not in a good way. Second thing is, we have these perforations, this little jaggedy edge where it tears out. You can probably see it better on that side. Maybe it's just like a very fine tooth. And I like to trim that off just by running my scissors along the base of those teeth. Because it's a bit rough, it's a bit abrasive, it will tend to catch on things. So I'm just going to tidy it up, letting my scissors run around the base of those teeth, and then just kind of ease it off at top and bottom to join it back up with the remainder of the oval. And these come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I've got another one to my side here, this fun S shape, sort of S shape, but I'm just going for the oval today because that's the one that suits this project. So I hope you've all had a fabulous weekend and a really good week so far. Doesn't take long to get into the swing of a new week, really, does it? Okay, and then you end up just with these fine shavings, and I just sweep them into my little rubbish pottle there. Okay, so I've got 3 bases ready to go. I did do a prototype of this project just so I knew kind of where I was heading, and I've made this wee notebook, and I think it's super cute. I've put a little bulb pin here with this is actually an earring that's taken off the hook, and then a little bit of tulle at the top of that, and then I've got this wee just little 4-page notebook. There is the odd change I'm going to make to the one I show you, just as I worked out a few issues with the making of it. And even the inside is writable too. So we're going to do something with this, because I didn't do anything with this when I made this one, and I made a little error on the back. But other than that, I'm really happy, and I think it's cute. Decorate up the back. Really cute to stick into a pocket. Very fun. Okay, so that's what we're going to make. I possibly will only get one made. We'll see how we go. First off, I've got to remember how I did it now. It's not that long since I actually did it, but right, so this is the blank side's going to be the inside of your little notepad or notebook or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to bend down this top loop here, like so. And I'm going to take my craft knife, and I'm going to just make a very gentle cut. I just want to go through the top surface of that decorative part. I don't want to cut all the way through, because then I would lose my little turnover bit. And this is probably the trickiest part, is peeling up that top layer to reveal the plain cardboard underneath. getting it started is the hardest part. You could absolutely cover it if you prefer. I just thought that was quite fiddly. Whether it's any more fiddly than peeling off this layer, I don't know. I'll let you experiment and you can decide if you feel so inclined. I mean, just a bit of washi tape or anything over top of it would be fine. Just to take away that, you know, because there's nothing terribly exciting on that bit of packaging, is there? Nothing offensive either. You could totally leave it if you wanted to. So I'm just going to take off this, just this loopy bit, so it's not a huge area that we're doing. Don't cut yourself if you're using the aid of a knife like I am. Don't want it slipping and slicing open anything that you don't want sliced open. I'm just using it as an aid to get in under that layer. Almost there, so it doesn't take too long. Just a bit of patience and perseverance. Okay, now I neglected to do anything on the first one, as I think I said. This one I'm going to ink. I am going to also ink it in Vintage Photo, but before that, let's have a look. I'm going to use this bit of paper to cover the back with. So let's look at the colours in this. I haven't got anything sort of this colour. Maybe that colour, or maybe this blue. Could also go green. Actually green. Where is it? Okay, we're just going to go with this green because this is the green that I could find. And a sponge. This one looks like it will be okay. And I need something to put it on. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of colour. Like so. Just to give it a little interest. Yep, and we've got a little bit more of the cover there. So get rid of that and then ink where I just peeled up. There we go. And I'm tempted, so I'm going to do it. I don't know whether this is a good idea. Going in with my mustard seed without the bit of glitter that's stuck on the sponge, and just give it like a two-tone kind of effect. Yep, I think that was a good idea. I like that. And then finally I'm going to go in with the Vintage Photo, because once it's constructed you lose the opportunity to do this. Just going to go in and give it an edge as well, and going to try and just get that inside bit as well. There we go. That's that bit. Right, I think I've finished for now with the ink, so let's pop this aside. It's in my way. Okay, so I'm going to excuse me, when I did this, my prototype, I just covered up to this point here where the fold is, and then I had to work out how to do this. So I worked out I just need to fold this under and then cover the whole lot. A lot easier, a lot less steps involved. So I'm going to go around with my tacky glue and just put glue all around. Now you could collage it with different scraps and bits and pieces if you prefer. For the sake of the video and speed, I am choosing just to use a larger scrap and cover the whole thing at once. But totally, you could collage it with tiny little scraps or whatever you like. Now to fit this on properly, I've got to go diagonally. There's a few creases in there, not too worried about that. They're all going to be fine once they're down. Okay, give it a little moment to dry, or start drying at least. Nice good press. And then trim around it. And I'll show you a little trick to do the top part, which is just a little bit trickier to get, but not too bad. I kind of tried out please excuse me, I don't know why I keep getting throaty. Tried out a little trick and it works fairly well. I was quite happy with the results, so I will do that and show you. It does involve a craft knife or some sort of little blade. You could use fussy cutting scissors, but I think that's, you know, getting in around there can be a little bit tricky, even with fussy cutting scissors, because this is cardstock, so it's not very bendable. Right, so what I do here is, first off, these straight edges, they're nice and easy. I'm just going to cut right into the corner of that circle piece. And so depending on the style of tissue box that you're using, you might have different issues. So bear that in mind, you know, this is the one I'm working with. You might have to work out some other ways around little issues like this. So I just make straight cuts following on an angle, so running my blade right up against the side of the circle and taking little slivers off. And then when I come this way, I come back and run it on the other side. Don't dig your knife in too much on an angle, because you'll end up cutting the front surface away, which I have done, but not too badly on my prototype. Right, that little bit doesn't want to come for some reason. Okay, and it's a bit jiggity-jaggedy. You can probably see, like, we've got little angles, particularly that one, there we go, that come off. And I just come around and then with my scissors just kind of round off those points. Again, just letting my scissor blade rest against the side of the cardstock and just rounding off any little jaggedy bits that I can see. And you can do it from the front as well. You don't have to do it from the back, so work in whatever direction. And then it's like, it's not perfect, absolutely not perfect, but it looks fine. It looks pretty good. A lot better than what it did before we just went round with those scissors. And I just found this was quick and easy, minimal, you know, messing around. And then by the time you ink that up, if you're an inker, you don't have to ink, of course. I tend to be an inker, so that's what I'm doing. And then run around it all with your ink if you choose, getting rid of all those crumbs. And then I'm going to do this side as well. Oh gosh, look at those crumbs. It's a bit crummy. And then not forgetting our little knob on top, I guess. Be fair enough to call it a knob on top. So there we have the basis of our cute little notepad. Just giving it a little tidy up. Right, now it comes to the pages. So for this one, I just used coffee dyed paper. I grabbed out a new sheet and cut it up. For this one, I'm going to use scraps because we're dealing with Trash Craft Tuesday. So I am going to try and use as many scraps as what I can. So we've used one scrap for the covering it, and I'm going to use more scraps for the inside pages. This is packing paper. I'm just going to tear off that perforated bit so I don't end up with something tearing off I don't want torn off in my little notepad. And I'm going to line up the top of my paper slightly below the crease. You don't want it right up to the crease, just want it slightly below. And I'm going to take a pencil and draw around it. Now I've put 4 pages in my other one, and I think 4 pages is a really good amount for this wee gem. I just really love the shape. So that's one. Okay, we'll do this is a scrap of math paper out of an exercise book. Just going to make sure, no, we need to go this way. So doesn't matter if they're not all exactly the same size. Actually, you might take it over this way so we've still got a strip for something else. Not going to waste anything if possible. Now I like to do this individually per base, because once you've trimmed off the edges of that that jaggedy edge, they're all going to be slightly different shape and possibly size. So I like to do this for each one. This is a different bit of coffee dyed paper scrap that was from something. So yeah, so they don't have to be the same size, you know. They will end up roughly the same size if you follow this kind of process, but not exactly. And then there's a scrap of, oh, there's a little flying bug thing. Let's get rid of you, wherever you came from. This creamy sort of coloured copyweight paper, I believe, by the feel of it, but it's coloured. Probably came out of a pad of coloured paper, I would assume. Okay, so we've got 4 bits. Now, when I cut this out, I'm just going to trim down here so I'm not working with that bit hanging off. Tuck it in my bag of scraps. I like to come in from the line 1 millimetre or 2, just roughly, not precisely, but definitely on the inside of your line, because the outside of your pencil line is outside the confines of your base. So bear that in mind. You need to cut inside the line, and I like to give it just that little bit of extra space, because I want it slightly smaller. I definitely don't want it bigger than the base. Just using that pencil line as a guide for the shape. Can you see there how much I've kind of come in? I hope you can see that. So 1, I'm going to have to deal with my nose in a second. Today it's really windy outside, very, very warm outside. And today is the first day that we haven't lit the fire in months. Like all winter, it's been going pretty much 24/7, the fire. And today we haven't lit it. And so it's still a little cool on the inside, but bearable. But my nose is wanting to just run. So just hold fire for a second, and I should deal with that. There we go. It's taking care of that. Again, I might just trim across here. Just easier to deal with a smaller bit of paper, and without damaging that. So use whatever paper scraps you've got, or if you don't have any plain paper scraps, just grab a sheet of coffee dyed paper or photocopy paper, whatever you've got, and go for it. Good way to use up your scraps though if you do have them, and I think most of us do. So just trim that bit off, put that back in my scrap bag. And our final page for this wee notebook out of this beautiful packing paper. So this one's going to have a variety of interesting pages, which is fun. Now I'll have to work out which one I want on top. Okay, and again I'm just going to trim those off. I think I'll put those in my collaging bin. Right. Maybe like that. And they sit in under here, under our wee flappy bit at the top, like so. Oh, I like that. I think it's so much fun. Right, now when it comes to gluing, there's a little trick here. So hold them down in place. We don't want them to move. Lift all your layers up down to the base and put just a thin line of glue, hopefully you can see this, at the top below the fold line. So there, and glue the first page down. I think I actually ended up moving that. Here we go, that's better. Right, then on top of that one, again a thin layer of glue. And you're going to do this for 3 pages. So that's our second page, and I have moved them. Thought I felt them slide under my fingers. Okay. Right. So I'm going to line this one up, and hopefully I don't move this one. Right, so our third page, again, a line of glue at the top. Like so. It doesn't need to be much. Okay, now for our final page, line it up. This time we're just going to glue on this top flap. So on our little arch shape, and we're going to glue that to our top sheet. Like so. And that's going to allow this top sheet to open all the way up, and then these will fold to that glue line. Oops, a little bit not very straight, it's okay. You can make it straight with your fold, you can just fold it, but it doesn't matter. There we go, so we've got our cute little tissue box tear strip notepad, okay? But we're not finished with it, are we? We've got more we can do to it. So let's decorate the back. And I'm just doing this very simply. Let's grab a bit of book page, a bit of cookbook, why not? I like the colour of this and the font. Whoops, that's probably a tad large. So I'm just going to ink that up. Oops, I think I need some more ink. Running low on ink on my sponge. I might have to invest in a vintage photo re-inker at some stage. I've had this ink pad for quite a while now and I've never inked it. Right, so I need my glue book, my glue pages, and my glue stick. Put it right in the middle there, and then I'm using butterflies today just because I feel like butterflies. So let's find one that we like. I think that's a bit blendy. We've got orange there, so we could go with orange. Oh, I like that one. Let's go with that one. These butterflies are from ArtSmartCraft on Etsy. So I'll try and remember to link that shop. And I've printed them off at normal size, and then I've also printed them off at 2 to a page. Sorry, you might not be able to see this. I'm just putting it on my glue pages to get around that little body there, very thin body. Okay, pop this on. You could use words, numbers, you know, any of the usual suspects. You could use a label. You could use a flower, a bird, whatever you like. You could go steampunk it up. That'd be fun. Okay, just as simple as that. I like it. It's just very simple but beautiful and decorative. Okay, for the final step, I like to put a little dangle on top. You definitely don't need to, or you could just tie a ribbon or a bit of yarn or something. I'm just going to try and get in the middle. I wasn't too successful on the first one there, but let's try it again. And I'm just using the smallest hole punch on my crocodile. If you don't have a crocodile, just use a normal hole punch, or punch a hole with an awl or a needle or something. Okay, and I've got a creamy coloured bulb pin. I think that works beautifully here. So we'll go with this bulb pin. And I've got more jewellery. Some of this jewellery I was given by a friend. So this black one is the other earring from this one I've used over here, wherever it's gone. I've buried it. So this was actually a pair of earrings that somebody gave me when they were moving. So I've got the other one there, and I've just removed them from their hooks. And then the lovely Lisa in Australia sent me happy mail, and she sent me some more little earring dangles. So maybe this tealy one could be nice, or no, I don't want the neutral. I think the neutral would be nice on a more vintagey sort of style one. Don't think that blue is right. I think this one's the right one for this. Just putting the wee dangle on it. And I don't think I'm going to put the tulle on this one. I'm just going to leave it as is. Isn't that so cute? I think these are adorable. Just to pop in a pocket. Oops. That glue's spread out a little bit. There we go. And you've got a cute shaped notebook. It's nice and light. Very interesting, very different and unique. With a little dangle on top. Super cute. I love how they turned out. So I think I'm just gonna, how's the time going? Oh, shall I make another one? We've got heaps of time. Let's make another one. I was only going to make that one, but come on, let's do it. Shall we make one for this lovely wooden bead? It's got wooden and metal beads on it. Shall we make one for that one? So a more vintagey style one. I grabbed out papers, backing papers. I didn't grab out anything particularly vintagey. Although, could go the tulips. Or do we want to go this yellow? I don't know. What says more vintage to you? I kind of think this colour in the background gives me more vintage vibes. Vintage spring, shall we say? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go with that one. And it's got the black, so not that one. Where's it gone? Yeah, I think that will work well with those colours. Okay, so first off, folding down our top. And when you fold it, you're just folding it to where it meets in with that round bit. Might actually use a little scoring help there. Right, now very carefully, don't press deep. Don't want to chop it off. If you chop it off, well, you just do a different arrangement, wouldn't you? Instead of having this little bit fold over top. But I like this bit folding over top. I think it's interesting. It's different. And it's using the uniqueness of the packaging. My fingers are actually quite sore today. I've spent a lot of the weekend fussy cutting. And my fingers, you know, they're a bit arthritic, and so yeah, they're a bit sore today. And I've got way more fussy cutting to do. I've barely scratched the surface really. This one is being a pain. It's not being nice for me. I feel like I've had an easy run and now it's going, no, now it's time to get real and show you how difficult I can be. Oh, there we go. Hopefully that's not digging too deep. It doesn't need to be super strong, so like if you take a little bit more than what you intended, it's okay because it is going to just be glued down. It's not really structural so much. It's just an interesting feature that I like to retain. Okay, there we go. Did it. Right, what colour do we want to go with this? There is some like little pinky and reddy dots in there, but we're going vintagey. So I'm wondering, I could just do vintage photo. That would be fine, but I'm kind of wanting, you know, a couple of different tones. So let's go coffee. I think that side's where I've used the coffee. There we go, and maybe a little bit of sepia, if I can find it. Yep, here we go. So we'll end up with the two tones then plus the vintage photo. You don't have to do the two different colours. I just like that it adds a little bit of added depth and interest. And I've got the stamp pad, so why not use them? Okay. Right. Then we go in with our vintage photo. Walnut stain. I don't have walnut stain, but I think that would be really nice to give it that super dark edge. Yeah, I have taken more off that than I did off the other one, but it's okay. It's going to be glued down to the page, to the top page of the notepad, so it'll be fine. And a little top notch there. I haven't covered the back yet, so I'll probably just wait until I've covered it actually before I do any more. I like this, and I was going to use this side, but of this sheet of paper I have not once used this side, so let's do it. Okay, yep. Just making sure I get the process right. So don't blame me if you never collected these tear strips from tissue boxes and now you're going to. Don't blame me. Thank me, but don't blame me. It's funny what we keep, isn't it, as crafters? And I've got my husband well trained, both in the removal of these from the boxes and the keeping of them. So he opened a couple of boxes at his work and he brought them home for me. So I went from having 2 available to 4, which I was not upset about. Oops, got a bit of glue seeping out there. Just don't want to gum up my scissors too much. I've not long cleaned them. I've switched to these scissors. They're not the best scissors. They're relatively new, so that for paper they're okay. They don't like to cut at the tip, but they're very light compared to my blue handled scissors that I've been using for the last I don't know how many years. And so they're slightly kinder on my arthritic fingers, being lighter. And they're pretty to look at, like there is that, isn't there? They're just pretty to look at. A lot more interesting than the blue handled ones. Right, so I've still got a snippet of that, which I'm happy about. I still do have some of those perforations still on the card. That's okay. They're not as catchy as they were when they were full size, original size. I hope I'm on camera. I just realized I'm sitting way back in my chair. Oops. Right, so again, going in here, just making our little straight cuts. Oops. Come on, come off there. Can't remember if I already cut that bit or not. Got a new blade in here so I can see all the chop marks in my cutting mat. It's digging quite deep. Okay, here we go. And again, just going in and trimming up any sort of pointy bits, softening them out. You could also take like a little emery board or a bit of sandpaper or something, fine sandpaper, and it would probably take care of it as well. I haven't tried it though, so maybe test it out before you try it on a project that you don't want to ruin in case it doesn't work so well. No, it's a good idea until you try it and it doesn't work. So be warned, I haven't actually tried it. I just had a thought that maybe that would work. Okay, we're all good now to do our pages. So this is a bit of brown envelope and I want to not get that in there. Yep, we can make that work. Whoops. That was funny. Completely went off. So one, let's go with a lined scrap. Oh, I can hear the birds singing. I love spring. Have I told you that yet? I think maybe I have, but I just love spring. The magnolias are blooming everywhere. Like this beautiful spring blossom everywhere and spring flowers and just gorgeousness everywhere. And the birds and the just everything. Just everything. And of course then there's the growing lawns. They're full steam ahead. You know, they've hit the height of the growth season. Just going to trim that off. So this is the scrap of coffee dyed paper that I used to make the first one. First little notebook, my template or my trial one. And here's another bit of that packing paper. So it's a different brown. well, slightly different weight of paper to that other bit of brown paper. Let's use the straight edge. So you could put more pages in if you want. I think it would take more. You could probably go 5 or 6 quite happily. But I'm happy just with 4. Right, and now to trim out our pages. Oh, I haven't inked around it yet, have I? Remind me before I stick my pages in to ink around it. Pretty please. Give me a shout, a tap on the shoulder. Send up a prayer. Don't let Belinda forget to ink it. You know I'm just being funny. Oops. I like how paper goes crunchy. Oh, look at that. When your coffee diet. It's fun. It has a fun texture and sound to it. Or any sort of dyeing. It's like once the paper becomes wet and then dries, it changes it. Changes the texture and the feel of it. And I think that is, apart from the look, is a lot of the attraction, is that textural change that happens. Right, just trim across there, get rid of that bit into my scrap bin, or scrap bag as it is. So as you can see, I'm not being careful because I'm cutting inside that line. As long as I'm cutting inside the line, if it ends up slightly too small, I'm not worried. It's still going to be a cute bit of paper in a notebook. Like it's not the end of the world. Should be fun, people. Should be fun. Right, here we go. Our 4 pages. Right, I heard you. I did. I heard you yelling at me. Let's go in and give this our inky edge. Some of you are probably saying, don't ink, don't ink. If you're not an inker. Right. Spend half my life, I reckon, brushing off sponge crumbs, because the sponges never last very long, and I don't like to change them too often because it's like, well, you know, everything costs money, even if it's just like a $2 sponge. If I go through them too quickly, then it's just, that adds up over a year. I might put that thicker brown paper as the front page. Yep, let's do it. So our thinner brown ones on the bottom. So again, we're just gluing those first 3 pages together. First one to the base, and the second one to the first one. Just a thin line of glue is all that's needed. Now also you could choose to staple these if you don't want to glue them. That would work really well as well, and you could staple through that top, but you would lose the top part of your page. This way I lose only just a little sliver at the top, but if you stapled in the middle there, you would lose, you know, more of your pages or papers. But again, does that really matter? Because it's just a cute little place to pop a note, write a phone number or a reminder. And then our top page is going to be glued to this arch. slightly shorter than the other pages. I think that's fine, and we have ways of dealing with that. We can just go round if you want, don't need to, it would be absolutely fine as it is, but we can just give that a little bit of ink, and it's going to just tie it all together and just tone down that white a little bit. And so we've got sponge crumbs everywhere. Got our little cute little notepad, and that one went slightly wonky, but you know what, it's all good. Okay, I'm going to try and do this without making a little mark this time. Let's see how we do. Just going to eyeball it. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Right, now a bulb pin. Now, if you don't have bulb pins, you could use a safety pin. You could tie something on instead. You don't need to use a bulb pin, but I've got them. So, you know, use what you've got. Always like, which way do you open it? Which way is the side? Oops, that tore a little bit when I punched that hole. That's okay. Do I want anything else on that? I just think that's rather cute as is. You could also just like put a bit of ribbon or something through your bit of jewelry or whatever you're putting on, or thread it through a bead, and then just tie that through the hole as well. That would work. Or you could staple something on top. You could staple a tab, a cluster, you know, lots and lots of options. Use your imagination, use what you've got. Okay, now for the back, let's go book page. And since, oops, not that bit. Since this is a lovely vintage sort of colour to me, I'm going to go with this again. This time I'll use a bit of the ingredients section. Or not. It's kind of, oh, this side's better. This had like kind of like too much blank space. So let's go with this one. This is very thin soft paper, so it's not the easiest to ink around. But I'm going to do it regardless. And shall we do something a little bit different with this? I think still a butterfly, because I'm really liking those butterflies. But maybe we'll add something to it as well. Why not? Gherkins, yum. Do like a good gherkin. I don't know if you call them gherkins in the States. Sorry for reaching. You might just call them pickles. But here we call them gherkins. So yummy. No. Wasn't the right colour. That one I think works. How about a label? So I've got labels here from the Junk Journal Studio. So let's have a wee look. Just a little label, and I think that's perfect. There's something very pleasing about the arrangement of 3 pieces as well. Oh, I know what I forgot to do on the other one. I shall grab it back in a sec once I've finished with this one, and we will do that. Because when I cut these little butterflies out, I cut off the antennae, and then I just draw them back in. So I did it on my first one I made off camera, but forgot to do it on that first one I made on camera. Butterfly or moth or whatever it is. So I just take a fine black pen. This is an Artline 0.4, I think. It's kind of rubbed off a bit there. Just come in and put a couple of little swirly bits for its antenna. So this one the one I did off camera. This one I forgot, so let's do that now. Oh dear, I just sprayed those labels everywhere. I'm going to have a pickup job to do after this video. There we go. They've now got antennae again. They'll be happy. See this one I made, I did get it quite wonky. I could go round and trim that off. In fact, I'm going to, because that annoys me. So I'm going to, because I glued them in wonky is the problem. So trim off the overhang. And now, yeah, that makes me happier because it's all now within the base. Oops, look at all those sponge crumbs caught in between. That's terrible. It's gone everywhere. Even got some there. I might have to get a new sponge, looking at how much is coming off. So there we go. I've made 3 little cute notebooks. Aren't they just adorable? I am really happy with those. I think they're going to be fun just to pop it into a journal. Super cute. Super cute. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it's inspired you to grab out those tissue box tear strips and have a play. See what you can come up with. Maybe make yourself a little notebook too. Okay, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back again for the next video. Have a great afternoon or evening or morning, depending where in the world you are. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.